Okay, good. I'm Mark Heinzelman. I'm with Emerson Process Management. And unlike many of the other discussions this morning that's kind of had a strong technical bent, I'm a business guy. And I'm here to kind of share with you the business case and the story around why we're using Elasticsearch to solve what is a significant problem. And I did do a little analytics this morning on the first sessions. Shai and all the other speakers this morning used the word fast at least 9 times. They also used the word game changer and or something close to that 3 times. And so today, what you're going to hear from my presentation is Elasticsearch to us is a game changer because it's fast. The principles in this story today are the customer with the problem. Yeah, that's me, Emerson Process Management. And then there's the integration implementation partner, Redstone Content Solutions. And I'm going to have John Klein stand up, if he would, John. John is from Redstone. He was instrumental in helping set the presentation up and providing some of the data. And so if you have questions about the integration part of this process, John would be a good person to talk to. And then Elastic, because Redstone brought the Elastic technology to us as part of the integration process. Okay? So those are the principal players. And here's what we're going to try to cover. We want to talk about what is a game changer. We want to give you a little bit of information about who Emerson is and who Redstone is. We'll talk in very general terms about what we call distributed Elasticsearch implementation is in an overview fashion. And then we'll take you into some of the details of the actual story, covering the environment and the problem, the impact, the solution, a brief demonstration, a videotape demonstration, the value that we got out of this solution, and where we see the future is for distributed Elasticsearch within Emerson, and a wrap-up. So, what is a game changer? Well, according to the dictionary, it's a newly introduced element or factor which changes the existing situation or activity in a significant way. Some of those pictures there are indications or indicators of game changing. That's a Model T. What happened when we learned how to make and mass produce Model Ts? We became an automotive society. Okay? What happened when we invented the atomic energy? Well, we've established a different way of balancing the world in terms of our geopolitical systems. What happened in 1980 when the U.S. team won the hockey championship, the Olympics? We no longer thought of the Russians as the only people that could win in hockey. We all know the Canadians can, but it was also the U.S. And I'm a New York Yankee fan, and when Mariano Rivera came to the Yankees, that was a game changer as it relates to being a relief pitcher and what could happen then. So why do I bring up game changers? Because Elasticsearch technology and our distributed Elastic implementation is a game changer for Emerson Process. And hopefully I'll be able to show you that. Who is Emerson Process? We're a subsidiary of Emerson Electric. We're about 35,000 employees globally, 10 billion in sales, global locations. We're the leading supplier of process control equipment in the world. We supply process control systems and software, analytical and measurement instruments, control valves, and regulators. So that's who the business is. We're an industrial company, and we're servicing clients that are supporting those businesses. Redstone Content Solutions is a partner of ours, has been for many years. Their focus, they're an Oracle Platinum partner. They are focused on Web Center content and Web Center activities. They're a value-added reseller and systems integrator for Oracle. They are have premier product training, where they provide training in those areas, and they're competent in the Java, and they have certified PMs as part of their process. So they're integral to our part of the process. And when we had the problem we're going to discuss in just a minute, they were aware of that, and they came to us with a solution that involved the technology of Elasticsearch with the integration of that into Web Center content, Oracle Web Center content. So here is the solution. Distributed Elasticsearch is the Elasticsearch engine with an integration of that search engine to Oracle Web Center content. Oracle Web Center content also used to be known as Stellent, and it's an enterprise content management solution that Oracle now uses. And it has a built-in search engine, which ultimately was not working for us. And Redstone came to us with this integration where we could put Elasticsearch with Web Center and potentially solve our problems. This is an Oracle validated integration. They went to Oracle, reviewed it, and Oracle said it was valid. So what is the integration? It's the integration from an indexing standpoint where you can provide multiple indexes that are definable. They're rule-based. They can run at the same time that the indexing is working on the current content server. And from a search standpoint, the integration really is intercepting the searches that the user is submitting through the interface before it goes to that SQL search query. It gets that search and passes that search to Elasticsearch, and Elastic then runs that search on their index, passes the results back to the Web Center interface so that then the user sees it in their standard result screen. That's the solution. So let's talk about the environment we were in. We were putting this distributed Elasticsearch environment on one of our instances, the one at the very bottom, the one that says OCM. We have multiple instances around the world, someplace around 20 terabytes of data on multiple instances, and this is the largest of the instances. The OCM instance itself is roughly, at the time when we were having these problems, around 15 million records, 5 terabytes of data. There's lots of ways to get content into the system, multiple check-in processes with 150 to 200,000 new pieces of content going into the system on a monthly basis. It's run on a 10GR3 environment, which is the version of the Oracle software. It's a physical server with a dedicated SQL server supporting that. Our problem, or problems, we had extremely slow searching. This is a metadata index only, not full text, metadata only. And on the entire database of 15 million records, we would see not uncommonly 40 or 45 second searches to get results back. We heard some of the speakers talk about this morning. What you didn't want to have happen in a user experience was you didn't want somebody to push a button and go get a cup of coffee. That's what was taking place. Okay? On portions of the database where we could segment down to, say, 1 million records, it'd only take 10 or 12 or 15 seconds. So it was a lot faster, but a lot fewer records. On the other hand, indexing wasn't any better. Indexing, or trying to re-index the database, the last time we did it started on December 23rd of 2014 and ended on March 26th of 2015. Better than 3 months to index the database. Okay? Totally unacceptable. So we had slow problems. And I used to own one of those Volkswagens, by the way, and I know they're slow. Top speed downhill with the wind is 62 miles an hour with 4 guys in it. Okay? So what's the impact of this? Well, the impact is significant. First off, we had a whole bunch of dissatisfied users, and I'd use other language, but we're in a mixed crowd and we don't need to do that. But that's the kind of language I was getting from those people. I could show you emails where I had swear words that were more than the regular words. Okay? There were long-running query queues. We had some queries that were backed up in SQL thousands of seconds. It was because the queries were complex. They had multiple terms in it. SQL only processes single terms at a time, and then it goes back and reruns it again against the whole database again. So it was just stacked up really bad. There was an increasing number of tickets for this whole thing. I would wake up some mornings at 3 a.m. I live in Iowa, and I woke up at 3 in the morning, and I'd check my phone, and my phone had 40 or 50 tickets. So we realized this is a global system. We have people coming on in Asia to work. And fortunately, there weren't as many people in Asia as there was in Europe, because by the time it got to Europe, there were hundreds or if not thousands of people using the system. And if it was taking them 45 or 50 seconds to run a query on a routine basis, they were sending a ticket. I literally had hundreds of tickets on one day. So lots of upset people. High database utilization, which impacted our ability to get content in. This system, is trying to ingest content while it's trying to serve it up. And if all the database connections were being used to do slow queries, then I couldn't get new stuff in. People were upset about that, so I got tickets on that. And then we were unable to actually modify or update the database significantly because we couldn't add fields, because then we had to reindex the database, and who was going to take 3.5 months to go reindex the database again? Not going to happen. So you can see I had a big problem. And this was an enterprise-wide system for a multi-billion-dollar company which is trying to serve customers. And by the way, the primary application in this area was order and quote information. You think there was some high visibility to this? Yes. So we needed to have a solution. To meet these goals and objectives, we needed to have the solution be that there would be no UI modification. We didn't want to go back to the users and tell them they had to learn something different. They needed to be able to have improvement, but do it the way they were used to. There needed to be no security group modifications, because we had specific security set up using LDAP and Active Directory, so we didn't want to monkey with that. There needed to be no database architecture modifications. We couldn't change the underlying architecture of the database. We needed to improve search by a minimum of 75% speed. We needed to improve indexing speed by 90% if we were going to have any chance of being able to update the database. And the most important thing was we had to improve user satisfaction. That was critical. So the solution was this distributed Elasticsearch integration. A single Elasticsearch master index across the entire instance. No change to the user involvement. When they went to the search page, it would work just the way it used to, except hopefully a lot faster. And when they got the results back, it would be the same results, no difference. No change to them. DES integration with Web Center allowed us to intercept those searches before they were sent to SQL, grab them, put them in against the DES index, the Elasticsearch index, and then return the results. And that multiple search term capability to run those multiple search terms against the Elasticsearch index at the same time was critical to that process. because we had some queries that had multiple ors or and statements as part of that process. So that was the solution. And what was the results? Well, it was fast. It really was. Search speed, all of the content. We could do a blank search on the entire database and get a result back in under 2 seconds. We couldn't run a single term search before and get it back in less than 40 seconds. So significant improvement. When we did our search on our confined little set of content for a specific group, 1 million records, under a second. Index rebuild speeds went from, yes, 3 months to 9 hours. We could rebuild the entire index of that system in under 9 hours. Yeah, you could do that in a couple of lunch hours. And you could stop and start it based upon the way this was set up. And that was on 17 million records. And the bottom line was users were ecstatic. You know what? They didn't know what we did. And you know what? They didn't care either. All they knew was they could get their job done. And that's what solving problems does. And that's why Elasticsearch in this DES integration is a game changer to Emerson Process. So we'll try to run this little demo here.
All right, so you should be seeing the welcome screen or the home page of the OCM instance. It's a pretty simple page. We have things broken up by applications and then business units and world areas. And what I wanted to do just to start this off is I'm going to do a blank search, just clicking the quick search button. So you can see how many records we currently have in the system. So it's doing a blank search on the entire database, the entire set of records. And it comes back and tells you that it's got, at the very top, right in here, 17,734,753 items. And it says that it's using the distributed index search of OCM master. That search took just under or just more than 0.2 of a second to execute. Now, it took a little longer to actually put the page up because you've got to build that web page as part of that process. I wanted to show you that, number one, to show you that I can get a search back on a blank search in fast time, lightning fast. I also wanted to show you how many records were in the database. This is the live production system. So now I'm going to take you to a screen which is, I'm going to see if I can make it just a little bigger here for you. So at the top of this screen, I had done this search beforehand, and I did it using, you'll notice, the built-in search tool, and it took 22.695 seconds to run this, to create this search. And the search was on ExxonMobil space PO space cancellation. Those three terms together, I was looking for a canceled purchase order for ExxonMobil. So, and when I ran it against the entire system, it took over 22 seconds, almost 23 seconds. I'm now going to run that same search using the distributed index, and it brought back the same records, 15 items, but it took 1.482 seconds, less than 2 seconds, querying 17 million records for 3 terms and pulling back the results. Folks, that's a game changer. We have people all over the world that use this system every day. We have over 1,000 contributors putting content in. We have 2,000 to 3,000 additional people who do nothing but search. That kind of results, people stand up and take notice. So it has a very extreme positive impact. Now we're going to take you and show you one of the focus searches. We have an area over in India. It's a sales office called Mumbai. And we're going to run a search over here in the Mumbai area. And we're going to look for lime industry. And we're going to run that in with the quick search. Lime industry, less than a second, 0.8 of a second. Found one item right here, lime industry. And now we're going to do this as a live search against the database, with the database without the distributed index. So bear with me a second as I add those terms in. And we'll execute that search. Make sure I got it right. Same search using the basic index, and you'll see the little green bar. It's down here, finally moved. And still thinking. Still thinking. Still thinking. And it finally brings back the same search in 21 seconds.
That's the difference. That's what people saw. People saw that every day, that change. And that made a difference. And it was significant. You know, where I used to get the hate mail and the swearing, and in particular, and nothing against the German race or the country of Germany, but the guys in Germany were just all over my case about this. Like every other day, 5 or 6 of them, I've had multiple responses back from that same group of people that says they can't live without the application now because it works so fast. Okay? It's integral to what they do, and they can't do their job without it. That changed the game. And it was because of the distributed Elasticsearch integration using Elasticsearch. So, the value of this in process, our objectives: no UI modification, no security group modifications, no database architecture modifications, all goes. All positive. No issues. Our goals were all exceeded. We have improved search speed by over 99%. We improved index rebuild speed by over 99%. And most importantly, we have a whole application group of people who are now satisfied. I don't get 40 tickets at 3 a.m. in the morning anymore. In fact, last week, for the first time, probably in a long time, we got no tickets. Yeah, thank you. No tickets. But not only that, you can calculate the value of this. You can calculate it in terms of time spent by users. And if you're a user that only does one query a day, you're only saving, on average 10 or 11 or 15 seconds. But if that's your only job, is to go look up order information and give it to a customer or get it to an order entry person, you could be saving a half hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes every day instead of sitting there waiting. And we calculated this. We have 6,000 employees that do about 1.4 million searches a month. That's about, 17 million searches a year at $40 an hour. And you take that times the amount of savings in a search, and we just said, okay, 11 seconds. Let's say they're always doing the focused search, so it's the least amount of savings. You work that out, it's $2.1 million. Now, I know that's 11 seconds at a time, and you're not going to be able to put that back on the bottom line, but you know what it does do? It makes satisfied users. And that's a lot more important. I think. At least it is to me, because I'm not getting those tickets. And it's mission critical application that is now people can't do without because it works the way it should. There are some features and benefits that we've identified when we got the technology that we're using. And this slide and the next slide talk about those features and benefits that we have in use today. We know it's there, okay? I'm not going to read these to you. I'm going to go to the next one. These are all features and benefits that are currently available and work. We've proven them out, okay? This slide says there are some additional features and benefits we haven't gotten to yet. We haven't used the faceted search results yet. We're looking forward to that. We haven't used the multiple indexes, but we're talking about how we're going to do that, and we believe it will work when we do it. But what I will tell you is everything that the technology says it can do has been able to be done. Nothing got dropped. What's the future look like? We have this one instance of Web Center content in production, 18 million items. We're going to put all of our Web Center instances on DES. We've got 2 more in the works right now, and we'll do the other 4 after the first of the year. It is the replacement search technology on Web Center for us. We even have one of these instances, which is a full text box, and we have a GSA appliance on it. My guess is that GSA appliance is going to go away once we put Elastic on. The end game is ultimately then to create a master index from all of those instances so we can do a search across all of the instances globally through one index, through one search. That will become another game changer. We'll now be able to allow people to look for and share information across the entire enterprise on those instances where today they would have had to go to multiple query searches. That will be a game changer. We're also talking with Redstone about the possibility of putting this and using it initially for e-discovery on our file servers and SharePoint. We believe that that kind of technology can be leveraged for this purpose as well. So in summary, in wrap up, we had a couple major problems, all identified by that snail. It was slow. Indexing and searching was slow. Redstone developed the integration between Elasticsearch, the technology, and Web Center content that allowed us to leverage that technology with a solution. It didn't require any change on the user's part. That was critical. It gave us the ability to give the users what they already done, but just turn the speed up. And the solution was game-changing, represented by that atomic bomb. Searching was fast, indexing was fast. We were able to quantify the value, and we showed you some of that those quantifications, both in time and in dollars. The value of the solution, though, has really been measured in user acceptance, satisfaction, and the word ecstatic. Yes, I got that word from one of the users in Europe. They were ecstatic over what had changed. And the future for DES with Emerson, I think, is pretty big. We see the power of it. And by the way, I had never been at all exposed to Elastic as a native product until today. I'd always seen it through the lens of the integration through Redstone. By the way, nothing wrong with that. But what I've seen today already, heck, I can think of half a dozen other ways to use this. Okay? So I think there's some other value that we'll have to go explore. The solution worked. It's fast, just like Jeff Gordon. That's that number 24 car down there. Another one of my guys I like Mariano Rivera. That's the end of the presentation. Here's some contact information if you want to reach anybody. Are there any questions? Yes, back there. Get a mic to him.
I've got a bunch of questions, so I might hold the mic for a little bit. So how did you deploy Elasticsearch to your infrastructure? Were you using some sort of configuration management? Was it hosted in the cloud?
It's put on a VM box inside our data center. Separate VM box. I would call it a small to medium-sized VM. Okay. So it's set up and directly then the index masters are appointed at that instance.
Okay, and then also, were you finding with the 9-hour reindex time, was that primarily just based on ingestion from Web Center at that point, or were you still seeing like heavy utilization on the Elasticsearch side?
Actually, the index rebuild process went on at the same time the system was in use.
Okay.
So no problems with running the index rebuild. At the same time, we're getting 150,000, well, not in one day. In one day, we might get 20,000 new items. So yeah, that could happen. And it works without a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Other questions? I can't see anybody, so if they're... Yes, up here.
So how did you make sure the content are sync between the Elasticsearch server and the Oracle server?
Oh, okay. What happens is, as the content goes into the system, and it goes into the Web Center content server first, the integration part of the process also picks up that index information and sends it to Elastic at exactly the same time, so it ingests it kind of almost simultaneously. So it's from within, I would say, a second of when it's in the content server, and we can find it in the native index, it's already in DES. And that's in the integration. Yeah.
And also the deletion? Also delete?
Same issue. It's deleted exactly at the same time. There is a complete integration on the indexing side between the DES and the Web Center content server. I can't give you the details. Remember, I'm not the detail guy, but these guys at Redstone they can tell you how that was done. But yeah, it happens near real time. Users can't tell any difference. That's the key.
So when you say index rebuild, is that rebuild only the Elasticsearch server index? Or both server?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Is it just copy from the Oracle server?
Yeah, I don't know the exact process for how the integration is done, but that process happens near instantly, and it's not necessarily a copy. It's kind of happening simultaneously.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Other questions?
You talk about DES as distributed Elasticsearch. Can you just talk about how many nodes are we talking about? What's the footprint for Elasticsearch?
One node, right? Yeah, one node at this stage. Thanks, everybody. Are you the next speaker?